All right, welcome to part 4 of our E3 special State of Gaming podcast, where we're just going to talk about a bunch of random stuff.
That's right. So these are the kind of games that we're going to show up. They're probably going to show up at all the different conferences. It could be anywhere really. They're not locked down to just Sony or just Microsoft. So these are third-party developers, and these are the games we're probably going to see at some point or another. Starting with one of the more recent reveals, there's Darksiders 3, which we just saw reveal. I think it was a couple weeks back, and we're going to be playing as Fury in this one, I believe. Yeah, it's Fury, and basically it doesn't look much different from Darksiders 2 in terms of the style. It's going to be a third-person action game. She's got a whip this time, and it takes place in terms of the timeline of Darksiders between 1 and 3. I think what's interesting here, the fact that this game is being made, is THQ's out of business, and now it's just it's still surviving. The franchise is still alive, and I think that's really cool that they managed to continue to make the series.
Yeah.
And we don't know like a crazy amount. We saw some gameplay, but it does look interesting. I don't know how many features from the first and second game they're going to take, because I know the second one had some sort of Diablo-style loot system. I don't know if that'll be coming back, but either way, it's interesting to see this series still alive, and it looked pretty. The colors look really nice, and I wouldn't mind seeing this at E3 this year, which I'm expecting to, actually. But all right, want to move on to the next one?
Yep.
Big one that it's going to show up on every conference, not just one. This is going to be everywhere. We're talking Nintendo, Square Enix, Bethesda's going to probably have this one. Call of Duty World War II. Everyone's losing their minds.
Boots on the ground.
Oh boy, everyone wanted this, and it's back. So Call of Duty World War II will be getting rid of that regenerating health system. We're going to go back to the days of yore when you got to pick up first aid kits to heal yourself. What is this?
Yeah.
So
what is this game? What year is it?
Health kits. So I think this was a smart move from them, just because people were really hating on the futuristic settings, and I mean, there's only so many settings you can try out.
Yeah.
This is still going to receive some hate because it's Call of Duty. It's kind of unavoidable at this point. But I have to say, I'm pretty interested in it. I think Call of Duty does a good job at spicing it up sometimes in terms of their settings. And gameplay is the one thing that they don't spice up so much.
It's always the same because it's kind of a tried and true, 60 FPS, quick, fast experience. It's more what comes with it that causes the problems.
These games are going to sell. Like there's no two ways about it. And I think they did the smart thing by jumping to a different setting, because first of all, World War II hadn't been done since Call of Duty 3, I guess.
World at War.
World at War, right? That's true. World at War. Well, that's still quite a while ago.
Yeah.
So World at War, but yeah, that was. I'm not sure which year it was, but it was
2008. I'm pretty sure. I think that came after Modern Warfare, and then it was Modern Warfare 2, and then Black Ops, and et cetera, et cetera.
And then they became more futuristic or modern. Yeah. I think that this is probably a smart move from them, and I'd like to see what other features they're going to be adding, because I see that they're making an effort to make this stand out in the larger Call of Duty franchise, and I'd like to see what else they're going to do to make this a unique game, because I think they lost. They may have lost some support when they were talking about. I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me, but they were talking about Nazi zombies, I think, again, or some sort of horde mode. Some people were kind of upset about it, like, oh, it's, again, like, they didn't feel like it was an original idea, but I feel like that's also tried and true, that works.
Yeah, you kind of have to include zombies at this point.
Or horde mode of some sort. Like, it makes sense. I feel like now there's kind of maybe a bit of a struggle, because they are releasing a Black Ops 3 Zombies compilation.
Yeah.
So that's going to come out, and this is going to come out. I don't know what they're going to do exactly with both of those. All I'm going to say is I'm going to follow this game just as much as I followed Battlefield 1, and I trust that this is going to be a good competition for them. Smart that they didn't do World War 1 as well, because then that would have...
Yeah, that would have been... Yeah. But yeah, I'm definitely... It's gotten my attention, because I used to be a huge Call of Duty fan. Like, I was one of those, rare people who played the Call of Duty games some people didn't even know existed. One and two on the PC, and loved them. Like, to me, those are still the two best Call of Duties. Yes, even better than Call of Duty 4.
That's my first one.
Yeah, see, you're exactly the type of people who don't even know there was World War II games.
Well, I knew.
Yeah, I know you knew, but I'm saying there's a lot of people who came in when you did who are like, oh, what's this new thing? It's like, it's not new. This is the fourth game in the franchise.
Yeah, it was nominated for Game of the Year, and I was thinking, wow, this game is... like, I didn't even like military games. I still am not huge on them, but the fact that it got so much attention, I knew they had to be doing something right, so I just went to the store and bought it, and I was like, wow, this is actually a really solid game. The campaign was great, the multiplayer was great.
That's like one of the things too I want to see. It's one of the things I loved about the originals. I mean, one, I'm a sucker for a World War II setting just in general, 'cause history buff, and I like World War II as a setting. But if they can nail the campaign too, because I really enjoy going through the single player campaigns, like back in the day when Call of Duty was selling itself on its intensity, which is like the selling point of those games, like compared to the Battlefield games or the Medal of Honor games. Like it kind of lost that along the way because it just got so over. You know how it is, like when you have something that's great and you just put too much of it in there, and then it kind of just becomes stale. Like it's not special anymore if it's all there is. So it's kind of gotta, like, if it goes back to its roots and really like kind of follows the groundwork from the old Call of Duties as opposed to the new ones, and shaping its campaign and how it handles its set pieces, like keep them grounded while still ratcheting up the intensity, as opposed to like the Modern Warfares later on where it was just there's nukes going off and helicopters flying everywhere and tanks flying everywhere, like it just became like a Michael Bay movie, whereas the old ones were just more like Saving Private Ryan, intense, but not intense for the sake of being intense, like, what I mean, not just throwing explosions in there because it's cool, but because it adds to the overall feel of the experience. And I like that they're getting rid of regenerative health. And
there's no Axis also. You don't play as the Nazis or as any of the Axis. It's just the good guys.
Yeah,
I mean the good guys, right?
Yeah, but we'll see what they do with maybe they'll do like what Battlefield did and put in another faction as a DLC, like they did with the French in Battlefield 1.
I don't think they're going to add the Axis. I think there was too many. There's like a really controversial thing here because like they didn't, at least in the single player. There's no real way to make the Nazis look like the heroes, but at the same time, there was just a struggle because they were just soldiers, but also what are you going to try and say, like, oh, you have to kill the Americans and this is a good thing, or like, it's a touchy subject, and it's probably not safe.
Call of Duty always goes with the clear good bad guy thing, even though it's never that way. Not to say the Nazis weren't bad, but if you look at the average soldier, they were still an average soldier. But I don't think Call of Duty is going to go that route of trying to like humanizing the conflict, or the Nazis are just the conflict in general. This is not going to be the Spec Ops: The Line World War II edition, or anything like that. But I hope they could at least at some point have it so you're not just playing as the Americans, because the originals you had the Americans, the British, and the Russians.
Yeah.
And the Russian campaigns were usually the best ones because those ones were just the most insane. Like my fondest memories are in the original Call of Duty. Crossing the Volga River into Stalingrad, just insanity. It's just crazy, and it was wonderful. So hopefully it's not just a over the top like American focused campaign.
I would hope not. Hope we get to see a variety of perspectives.
But
it's very Call of Duty.
But just for the multiplayer too, the setting being back in World War II, having bolt action rifles again, it's just if they do it right, which they obviously know how to do, it could definitely be what the franchise needs to kind of try to shed some of the negativity that's been on it for the last few years.
Yep, I definitely hope so. All right, so next up, another game that's going to show up at every conference, Destiny 2.
Yeah.
So from what we've seen so far, Destiny 2 looks like it's just a more refined version of Destiny 1. I don't know. I haven't seen enough to make a good call on it yet. It does seem just a lot like Destiny. It doesn't really seem like there's anything huge and new about it.
It's more like Destiny 2.0 as opposed to Destiny 2, if you understand the difference there. What I'm trying to say.
That's definitely the thing that's concerning me a little bit. I think personally, for me, what they just need to add to make it way better is just a stronger narrative, or a way that you can explore the lore without having to go in the web browser. I found that was a bit weird. Other than that, I mean, the core gameplay of Destiny wasn't terrible, especially after they fixed it and then added in all the DLC. So I think it's a good starting point for Destiny 2. It's just...
And the big thing this time around is it's going to be on PC as well.
Oh, right.
Open up a whole new...
dedicated servers, though, so people are super pissed about that.
You win some, you lose some, But that'll still open up a whole other avenue.
It's running on Battle.net, too.
Yeah, I heard that, but no, it's not Battle.net anymore. It's Blizzard app.
Sorry, the Blizzard. It's running on the Blizzard app.
Gotta get it right,
It's just that's an interesting choice, but I guess Activision's behind it, so it makes sense to some degree. Anyways, there's not much else to say about that. That's pretty straightforward. We're gonna see a whole lot of it, anyways.
Oh yeah,
that's
probably too much, to be honest.
Definitely. Get special DLC if you have a PS4.
Basically.
Okay, so next up, this is one that, love it or hate it, Konami is making another Metal Gear. Metal Gear Survive, and it doesn't look like it's going to be like the rest of the Metal Gear games.
No.
It's a zombie survival game that takes place through... I mean, it's weird enough to be a Kojima game. They get sucked in through a wormhole and end up in another dimension with the zombies with spikes on their face. I mean, personally, this is my bias, is that I kind of have to hate Konami for the way things happened. But if I had to take away my bias and just look at the game for what it is, it doesn't look quite original enough for me yet. It looks sort of like a Horde mode DLC for Metal Gear Solid 5. It's like if Metal Gear Solid 5 had a Nazi zombies, that would be it. And, I mean, they also need to work hard to get fans' trust back. They canceled Silent Hills. They kind of half-finished Metal Gear Solid 5, and they canned Kojima. So now, it's going to be hard to get, diehard fans of Kojima to buy Metal Gear Survive. And I'm curious to see if they can really push that. I think just out of principle I can't buy that game, but I'm curious to see if they can really push the envelope there and make it a good game. So, you have anything else to add to that, or it's pretty straightforward?
Yeah, I'm not really interested. I mean, I guess I'm pretty tired of zombie games, even if they do involve wormholes and other stuff going on, like just horde mode games in general. Like, come on, you gotta spice it up, like. So maybe they'll show something that'll kind of like put a wrench in the formula that'll get people's attention. But when I hear the words zombie horde co-op, I'm like, no thanks.
Yeah, you've had enough of that.
I'll just go play Left 4 Dead if I really want to, play something like that.
That's true. That's fair. And next up, another game that's got a lot of hype behind it, Red Dead Redemption 2. Yeah. So that game just got recently delayed, not to no one's surprise.
Unsurprisingly,
to early 2018. If it's even going to be then.
Yeah.
I think we're overdue for some gameplay.
Yeah, I think
we could do that.
I think despite the delay, there's still going to be a big showing. I mean, we know they can pull, like, they already have in-game trailer, like the teaser screenshots, like they have it's not like the game's in a state where they can't show us something, So I think we could get a trailer, and hopefully that will primarily focus on setting the tone for the narrative, because we don't really know what it's about yet.
Yeah, it's all speculation.
Yeah.
That's right.
So is it before? Is it after? Who's the main character? How does it tie in with the original? Is it going to be its own thing? Do you need to play the first one to get the second one? These are the kinds of questions I think they should answer at E3 with a narrative-focused trailer.
Or maybe even some gameplay. I mean, not that...
Maybe a bit of gameplay, but considering the delay, I'd say... Because generally, from what I've noticed, is delays are more for fixing things like gameplay and things like that, whereas chances are the narrative is kind of more or less already determined. So it's probably more likely that they'll show off that stuff, and then maybe at some of the other events later this year or early next year, they'll actually show us some strong gameplay. Or they'll just do what Mass Effect did and not show us anything because they know it's shit, and then just release it anyways.
Wow,
but we'll get to Mass Effect later.
It's a low blow, but I mean, it's Rockstar, so I expect
I'm not actually that worried about it. Like,
so I mean, I expect it to be good. It's just I do want to know whether you're playing as John Marston or John Marston's kid, or if you're playing as one character or a whole bunch of characters.
Yeah, because they could do what with Grand Theft Auto 5, like, which could be interesting.
But yeah, I feel like that would make sense too within a game setting, like they're showing the game.
Yeah.
But
man, could you imagine all of them being playable characters? So it's like 8 or 9 people you can swap through.
I don't know. I don't know how that's practical, but I think they might.
Or maybe only 3 you can swap through as you want, and then the others each have like their own linear structured sections that you play as key story moments.
I'm
or something.
Okay with that. Like that would be fine by me. I just hope this lives up to the first one, because Red Dead Redemption 1 was probably one of my favorite games of all time, and I'm hoping that whatever they do, just make it as good, if not better, than the first, because GTA 5 was really good. And I mean, Rockstar's only getting better, so...
And I'm definitely excited for it, but not as much as other people, because I've never beaten the first Red Dead, mainly because I had the ending spoiled.
That's pretty...
And I've played it, and I know it's a great game, it plays great, I love the setting, the characters are great. It's just hard when you know that... When you've seen how it all ends, and like, even though you don't fully understand how it got there, you're just like, it kind of just bummed me out. So...
That's fair. I mean, I've had games ruined for me and made me not want to play them anymore. So, with a narrative-driven game like Red Dead,
yeah, too. Sense. Like if there was something else as a selling point, then I could look past it. Or if I just had something much more minor spoiled, as opposed to the main character dies. Like, oops.
That's pretty bad. Yeah, I wish you didn't know that, because then when you see that, that's awesome.
Yeah,
And I think the next one's your favorite coming up here, Cyberpunk 2077.
Yep. Well, like said in
we already mentioned
the Microsoft part, like. I'd be happy just with anything, just
Literally
just
anything.
a little one little line saying
screenshot.
it's coming, like a couple of screenshots, just some information, like how, because there's been speculation that there's gonna be multiplayer aspects to the game, seamless multiplayer, whatever that means. Like, is it gonna be like what Watch Dogs kind of marketed itself as, where people kind of come in and out, or like you can do missions, like, and I want to see that, is because if they pull it off, it could be really great. If they do something like what Dark Souls did, Dark Souls is an example of a single player game with a multiplayer element that just works, which is, in my opinion, what CD Projekt Red has to do with this, because I'll admit I'm a little concerned that they're trying multiplayer. Not surprised, but concerned, because I don't want to lose that core narrative focus that we have in the Witcher games.
What made the Witcher so strong, right?
I can't even imagine any kind of multiplayer aspect to the Witcher. But then again, Cyberpunk's going to be very different. It's most likely not, because it's based off a tabletop game, right?
Right.
And it's, I think, 50 plus years in the future from the setting of the tabletop game, so it's very detached. It's not going to have a main character you play as. It's got 7 books to his name. It's not going to have a supporting cast that has all these predetermined backgrounds and ways that they need to go. So it gives them a lot more freedom, presumably, which is very exciting. But at the same time, like, I hope they don't also see it as an opportunity to lack on narrative for other ideas, because if this game has a strong narrative and really just builds upon what The Witcher did, it could really be like a special game. And if they somehow put in like a Dark Souls-esque multiplayer aspect to it, then forget about it.
It'd just be a bonus.
Yeah.
But I mean, I trust, again, Rockstar, CD Projekt Red, these are companies that really have our trust.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm not excited to see them break that trust, but I'm okay with them for now. I'm not too worried. I just want to see, like you said, like anything.
Yeah.
Just give me something.
I'm not expecting a lot, but hoping for something.
Alright, so next up, I'm going to talk about Capcom a little bit, I guess. We have Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, which is the next installment in Marvel vs. Capcom. Not really much to say. I hope the roster is big and cool.
Yeah.
And, I mean, other than that, I'm expecting it to play like the second one. Maybe have some, like, just basically the updated roster is all I can really ask for. We've seen the visuals, not much else to really say about that. But what I am hoping for, and I say this every year, is I'm hoping for a new Devil May Cry. I personally didn't hate the new Dante as much as everyone did. But whether it's a sequel to Devil May Cry 4 with the original Dante, or whether it's a sequel to DMC, I wouldn't really complain. I just want some fast action combat. Just something to, hold me over until Bayonetta 3 comes out, or Platinum's next game. It's basically like Capcom's version of a Platinum game. And I think Devil May Cry has always been fun for me, and I wouldn't definitely not mind a sequel. So, really not much else to say, because that's just speculation at this point. Next up, Vampire, however you pronounce that, by Don't Nod, makers of Life is Strange, which is, I mean, they just announced Life is Strange 2, and they're still working on this, so I don't know.
I guess they grew pretty quickly after Life is Strange came out, which is great to see. Cause
teenage drama, like, in the style of Telltale, and now we're at, like, a
dark vampire story, and then back to presumably teenage drama with Life is Strange 2, so...
Yeah, it looks like that's a really weird shift, but I don't know how I feel about the game. I watch a trailer, and sometimes it really looks appealing, and sometimes it looks kind of bland. It's kind of hard to tell right now. I don't even think gameplay or trailers will really help it at this point. I think just playing the game is really what is necessary to get it, because the way the narrative ties into your choices as a vampire, do you give in to your needs as a vampire, or do you just, do you hold off? How do you fight? I'm curious as to how all this is going to play.
It's going to be interesting to see how they pull it off.
Yeah, so again, I feel like this game is going to probably come out fairly soon, because we've seen a lot of it. But who knows if we'll see more at E3. Next up, Sega has definitely gone through some weird shift where they're trying to revive all their old franchises, and they're once again trying to make Sonic come back. And I do respect this version of Sonic more than I respected Sonic Boom, which for me was like the biggest disgrace. I mean, the franchise has been dying out and only really came back a bit for Sonic Colors and Sonic Generations. But now we got Sonic Mania and Sonic Forces coming out, and I think they both look pretty good. I mean, in my opinion, Sonic Mania is classic side-scrolling Sonic, in the likes of Sonic 1 through 4, although maybe 4 is a bit contentious. Sonic Forces is the style of the newer Sonics, 3D environments, and you got 2D as well. and now you get to make your own character. Do you see any of that?
Yeah, I saw bits of it. And, I mean, it certainly looks better than the other ones you mentioned that were just
Like Boom and Unleashed, yeah.
But at the same time, it's not like they had to do much to make it better. You know, like they were working from rock bottom essentially with the Sonic franchise.
Oh, boy.
So any step forward is good. You know, like
Yeah, I'll take anything at this point. I mean, making your own character, it's definitely playing towards the fan base there, because I mean, everyone on DeviantArt is making their own Sonic these days, so I guess now they're like, oh, make your own character,
Yeah.
blank the blank. So you can be a fox, and each one, fox, rabbit, hedgehog, they all have their own abilities, and I guess it's like almost a fan fiction that writes itself.
yeah.
Well, we'll see where that goes, but I'm sure we'll see more of it soon, whether it's E3 or not. Next is a game that's coming out also pretty soon, Agents of Mayhem, which is in the same universe as Saints Row, and it sort of is like another Saints Row, but
Yeah.
you play as different characters rather than your own.
It looks very similar though. It was funny when I started reading up on it. I saw two articles. One that was like, "This is great," and the other's like, "This sucks." You know, like, and it was funny because one was saying, "Oh, this is them really moving away from Saints Row," and the other one was like, "Oh, this is just Saints Row." So clearly, it's very like dividing already. But yeah, from what I briefly saw, it looks a lot like they're just kind of expanding the Saints Row idea as opposed to doing something new, which is understandable because Saints Row has been relatively popular for a while. But hopefully they throw in some new ideas, new gameplay mechanics, and just to keep things fresh, you know. Because if you want to see it as another Saints Row, it's what, Saints Row 5. You know, you're getting to the point where you're like, okay, we have a lot of these games now. There's only so much you can do,
And they're getting more ridiculous each time,
Yeah.
right? So honestly, I there's not many places for this series to go. They've gone more and more ridiculous. We've gone from being a street gang to being like the president of the
Yeah.
United States fighting aliens with superpowers, to going to heaven or going to hell, and now we got multiple superheroes fighting to save the planet. I mean, it's over the top, it's stupid, but that's what it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
I'm following it. I don't know how excited I am for it right now,
I have
but
to see more.
Yeah,
I'm sure it'll be a fun game in the end. It's just, is it really worth, especially for people who've played all the other Saints Rows, like, is it really going to offer something new?
I hope so. At this point, it's looking like it's going to have a character switching ability like Grand Theft Auto, but
Yeah.
but there's no way to know for sure about how it's going to play until we see some more, which I'm hoping we see at E3 this year.
Yep.
Next up, we're definitely going to see Shadow of
Oh, yeah.
War.
That's sure. But I'm pretty sure it's a guarantee that will definitely be a showcase for the Scorpio for sure. Probably show up. Probably Sony may show off a bit of it too. Maybe they'll have their own gameplay segment.
Yeah.
But yeah, that'll definitely be there a lot because the first one was very successful and certainly a lot of hype going into this one.
It wasn't even expected to be that successful, the first one,
Yeah.
so it sort of was a sleeper hit, and then I guess people realized, wow, this is a really great game. The Nemesis system worked just fine, and now I guess they're...
Let's try it again.
Yeah, why not? So...
And anything in the Lord of the Rings universe is always going to get that core fan base.
Oh, for sure.
You always got that, at least that portion of people who are going to at least check it out because they're like, oh, Lord of the Rings, I have to play it, you know? Like,
yeah.
So, and you do that and you do it good, and suddenly that's all you need for a successful game, you know? You take a core universe that people love and then make a good game out of it, boom.
Yeah, and
Gold.
speaking of which, we're going to get to Star Wars when we get to EA's
Yeah.
conference, but that's exactly what that is.
Yeah.
Next up, speaking of licenses, we got Batman. We don't really know what's happening with Batman right now.
No.
Well, there's been a lot of rumors that Warner Brothers Montreal is working on a new Batman entry, although the rumors are kind of jumping between a Suicide Squad style game, and then there's also one where you play as Damian Wayne, or is there one where it's like Batman Beyond? I don't really know exactly what they're planning,
Mm-hmm.
but I think we're really overdue for something at this point, because Warner Brothers Montreal has been kind of quiet.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think it's time we saw some new Batman. I know Rocksteady's not working on it anymore, so that does make some people worried, because Warner Bros. Montreal, there's a few companies here, but Warner Bros. Montreal made Batman Arkham Origins, and that one was a little bit more, wasn't as well received as the others, so I'm hoping they kind of maybe raise the bar for themselves a little bit with this, and I'm hoping that it keeps the Batman series alive in a new way, because I don't want to just see the same stuff we've been seeing so far. I'd like them to spice it up a little bit,
Yeah.
and it sounds from the rumors, it sounds like they already are heading in an interesting direction, so I mean, just show us something.
Yeah.
Just reveal it.
Anything at all.
All right, so Techland made Dying Light a while back, and that was a super successful game
it was.
on the new generation of consoles. And I don't really see why they wouldn't be making Dying Light 2. The first one worked so well, and there's a lot to work with. It was basically Mirror's Edge meets Left 4 Dead, or Mirror's Edge meets
an
Dead
example
Island.
of what I was saying of a zombie game, just doing something a little different to spice up a overpopulated and stale genre.
Yeah.
So yeah, if they make a second one though, my only hope would be that they don't just copy paste better graphics, more stuff. Like throw in another twist, throw in another gameplay mechanic that kind of defines it not just in the genre but against the first one as well.
Yeah, jetpacks. Just give us jetpacks. I'll be good.
Why not?
Actually, you know what? That would if they made a bit more like maybe a bit of a sci-fi twist, and you kind of have the mobility of Titanfall. That would actually work really well because you have a lot of wall running and stuff.
Yeah.
Putting that with some jets, that could work.
Yep.
Next up, I don't know if we'll be seeing Psychonauts 2, but Psychonauts 2 is the sequel to the game that came out in, I think, 2005.
Yeah, it's an
by
old
Tim
one.
Schafer's Double Fine.
Mm-hmm.
That game was probably one of my favorites. It's a cult classic. It didn't sell super well, but man, was it original, was it creative, and I never expected to see a sequel, but I'm so happy that they're working on it, and I just want to play it. I don't even care. I'm not even going to wait for a review on that one. That's something that I'm just so hyped.
Yeah.
I just trust Tim Schafer on this. Just give me
It's definitely
Psychonauts 2.
something that will definitely sell right off the bat because it's something people have wanted for a while.
Right, and speaking of something that people wanted for a while, there's a Danger Zone coming out from some of the makers of Burnout, and I mean, I haven't seen too much of it, and I'm hoping we do. That's why I'm hoping we see D3. But I feel like we're so overdue for a Burnout style game. I've never been super into racing simulators or racing games, but Burnout really appeals to me because it adds that action element that I think I want in racing. Is when I'm head to head with someone I'm racing, I kind of just want to smash them against the side. It feels really satisfying. With that crunch and the car compression.
Yeah.
Man, Burnout's done that perfectly.
Yeah, I'd be very interested for that too because I don't remember which Burnout it was, but I had a demo for it on the original Xbox, and I just played it over and over again because it was just fun. I was just going around blowing people up and stuff, and I'm like, still felt good as a racer, because you get like Gran Turismo and Forza, and it's like it's great for car enthusiasts, but for your average gamer, you don't have guns in the car. I'm not interested.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of how it works.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I enjoy Forza, but come on, I need some car explosions.
Yeah.
Give me Danger
Spice
Zone,
it up a little bit,
please.
Yeah.
All right, so next up is one I think you're really fond of. We got Code Vein, which is a new game from Bandai Namco. It looks a little bit like an anime Dark Souls vampire game. Which...
Yeah, but hey, sold me. Sold. I'm definitely what they've shown so far. Like I really like stylistically how it's going. Combat looks very Souls-like, and that could also be a concern because I don't want just to be like a Souls clone with anime overtones. It's got to kind of define itself because I have definitely felt a bit of a burnout with Souls games, which is part of why I didn't buy Neo when it came out because I'm like, it looks great, I love the setting, but I need a bit of a breather from the stress of a Souls-esque or a Soulsborne game.
It's gonna kill you early at this point, right?
But definitely, if this one takes like not necessarily a lighter tone, but a more narrative focus, because it looks like there's a strong focus on actual characters, like it looks like the characters they've shown in the trailers are not just random player characters but actual, so there may be more of like a traditional story to it as opposed to how Souls games tell story through item descriptions and cryptic dialogue. This may have a more cinematic story feel to it, which
expect that
with Dark Souls-esque combat that maybe is like a little less intense could be a real good hit, something definitely to keep an eye on.
Oh, for sure. Definitely intrigued, and I do want to see more. So next up, I'm just going to bundle these three together, but we got System Shock Remake. I think they're remaking System Shock 2 now. They're making System Shock 3. Just give me all of them.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a huge fan of BioShock, a huge fan of Ken Levine, and I know he's not making System Shock 3, but I mean, any kind of these, what are they called? They're called Sims. I'm just missing that one word, but basically these kind of games really immerse you in their environments, and they give you like loot to deal with, but I think they're actually called immersive sims. I think that's the name of them. Yeah, immersive sims, like Deus Ex or Thief, and I'm kind of, after playing Prey, kind of just awakened this hunger in me, and I realized, wow, it's been a while since I played one of these, and to get all 3 of those around the same time, hopefully, would be really nice. I know that they said that apparently Warren Spector said that System Shock 3 is going to do a whole bunch of things that no one's ever seen before. I don't know what that means, and I can't even imagine what that means, but give it to me. Honestly, we deserve to see something at this point, because it's just all we've been hearing about System Shock 3. We really haven't seen anything except for concept art, I think, at this point. And System Shock 1, I played the demo for, and I mean, it was a bit simple, but I mean, it's a remake of a very old game, and I think they did it to the best of their abilities, and I would want to play it. So, you know what? Just give it all to me.
Yep, bring it on.
Alright, we're almost done here. Next up, we got From Software. We don't know what they're working on. All we know is that it's not going to be a Dark Souls game. It's not going to be a Bloodborne game, probably. So we think that they're going to go back to either one of their older franchises, or they're just going to work with a new IP. Either way, the last time they tried redefining the Kingsfield franchise with Demon Souls, they redefined an entire genre. So, you know, let's see what they can do.
Definitely, like, who knows? It could be great, could be a flop, but either way, anything of theirs that shows up will definitely get a lot of people's attention.
Oh, and for sure will.
And, yeah, it's going to be interesting, because, it's been close to 10 years since Demon Souls, so that's pretty much all they've done for that amount of time, so it'll be interesting to see how they transition something that's presumably different. You know, not another Souls-esque game in a different environment. You know, so
yeah, I'm honestly, give me something. Just give me something from Software.
Anything at this point.
I trust them. Yeah. Another company that hasn't released anything yet is going to be, hopefully showing something. I'm talking about Ghost Story with Ken Levine. So Ken Levine is now no longer with Irrational Games. I don't even think Irrational Games exists anymore. But Ghost Story is his new company, and I think they were talking about how they wanted to make games like Ghost Stories, where you tell around a campfire, maybe horror oriented. Which, fingers crossed, please, Ken Levine making a horror game. That just sounds too good to be true, but I want to see it. And I mean, if you take some notes out of his book when he made BioShock, all the better. I just trust him. He's one of my favorite developers, and he's about at the same stage as Kojima for me. I want to see what he can do, especially now that he's got more power, like Kojima. So we got Death Stranding, and we got Ken Levine's new game.
It'd be interesting to see with more freedom what they can do. You know.
Well, he wanted to make it. He talked about making his games very open-ended. I'm not sure how he'll do that, but I'm more than curious to find out.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. So next up, this goes back to Sega's strange idea of remastering all their old games, which, I mean, that could be successful for most of them, but Seaman, I mean, I don't really get why they really needed to do that. I mean, I don't even know if we'll see it. I don't know how we'll see it. It was just sort of like a Tamagotchi pet that was really creepy. It had a man's face on a fish, and you had to talk to him with a mic. I don't know how they'll translate that into our current generation of games. I really don't know why they had to do this again. But you know, if they're going to, I don't know. I'm not interested in the game per se, but I gotta say I just need to know
what exactly it's going to be.
how and what are you doing with this? So yeah, I don't even know if we'll see that at E3. I don't even know if it'll end up being finished, but all right. Yeah, we'll see if it's there.
Bring it on, you know.
Sure.
If it's new and it's interesting and it is good, then all the power to them, you know.
Right. Anyways, now let's go to 2K for a little bit. So 2K, Gearbox has released the pre-sequel quite a while ago, Borderlands, and now we know that they're working on Borderlands 3. We don't know whether they're really far in development or not. We saw a tech demo from them, but I'm not 100% sure whether we're ready to see Borderlands 3 or if they're still too early on in development.
Yeah.
But I think that there's a huge fan base for that franchise.
Yeah, definitely. That was one of those franchises that kind of came out and you're like, it's kind of like, all right, this is interesting, but I don't think anyone really expected it to take off like it did. Like it.
Oh yeah.
It still does have like a really core group of fans that are just like, this is the greatest thing ever, you know? Like it really adhered to a certain like clique of people who want to play that kind of game, you know, that loot based shooting, like its concept is great, you know, and it's it's not too surprising that it was successful, but I don't know if necessarily when they were releasing the first one that they knew they had like a multi-game franchise on their hands, you know?
Oh yeah, I don't think it was kind of weird when they were first releasing the Borderlands 1. I remember that it being kind of all over the place with what they were going with. It didn't look cel shaded at first. First it looked kind of realistic. They were going for a different vibe and tone, and I think it shifted. And I remember when I finally got the game, I was like, oh, it's not quite what I expected, but I was kind of enamored with the amount of guns you can get, and I think a lot of people still are.
Definitely.
So yeah, I mean, I'd be down to see. I know 2K is working on something. We know they're working on Borderlands 3 as well. But apparently they're going to show something. They were talking about showing something. There was a rumor or a leak that they were going to reveal something surprising. So it could be Borderlands 3. People were speculating BioShock. Like I don't know how to feel about that because Irrational's no longer together. Ken Levine's not there. I mean, do I want another BioShock? Yes. I don't want to limit myself to making hoping Ken Levine will make it because he won't make it now. But I'm worried that they'll just sort of they'll tarnish the name.
Possibly, but a game like Prey shows that other people can make those kinds of games.
That is true.
And so yeah, even though it doesn't have Ken Levine looking over it, it doesn't mean necessarily that's going to be bad. It could be like what Dark Souls 2 was, for example. It didn't have Miyazaki looking over it. It's clearly different because of it. Not necessarily bad, inferior, but not necessarily bad. So the way I look at it is get excited if it's there. It could be good, but don't go in expecting it necessarily to be as good unless the trailers just look all just absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, unless they somehow manage to make it better. I mean, I'll be an optimist and I hope maybe somehow they make it even better than BioShock Infinite.
Yeah, you never know.
But for now, it's just speculation. I don't even know where they'll go with the series at this point because I mean, if you play the DLC of Infinite, it seems kind of well contained. I don't know how they'll add more to it, but I mean, I'm a huge fan of BioShock. Probably one of my favorite games of all time. If they make a sequel, I'll watch it and at least I'll watch the reveal and I'll hope to God that it doesn't ruin the franchise for me because that would just be devastating to watch that ship sink would be too much. Anyways, the rest of the games will fall into the categories of either Ubisoft, EA, Square Enix, Bethesda, or Devolver, so we can talk about those in their own comments.
Alright, so yeah, that wraps up part 4, which, as you just heard, was a bunch of random games that may or may not show up at one or many different conferences.